Those clips came from my friend Mary's video, How to Phoenix. This is my favorite video on her channel, not just because it features her and her best moments, but because it's on my favorite game of 2020, Valorant. Valorant's helping her channel grow, so I thought I might as well mooch off that success and make a video about Valorant. So, without further ado, here are my thoughts on Valorant. Riot Games officially released Valorant on June 2nd, 2020, but Valorant had a closed beta that could only be accessed by watching Twitch streams. The way this worked was, first, you would link your Twitch and Riot Games account, or else you couldn't get the link in the first place. My brother didn't tell me this, so I wasted a day watching Twitch streams that had drops enabled, which was the closed beta link, getting nothing. Once you linked your account, it just came down to luck. Some people waited 2 weeks for the link, whereas I watched 2 hours of streams and got the link. Now that Valorant is free to play and no one has to watch streams for hours or possibly days, what is this game about? Well, I'm gonna sound like an ad here, but Valorant is a 5v5 first-person shooter, or FPS, that takes inspiration from CSGO and Overwatch to create their own special game. There are two objectives in the game depending on which team you are, attacking or defending. If you're the attacking team, the objective is to plant the spike, or the bomb, on one of the 2, or 3 if you're on Haven, objectives. Or you can just kill all of the opposing team, whichever comes first. If you're on defense, the objective is to stop the attacking team from planting the spike by killing all of the attacking team before they can plant. Or, if they do plant, then the objective changes into defusing the spike before the attacking team can stop you. There are many agents, or characters, to choose from, although not as many as there are in Overwatch. In total, there are 11 unique agents, with one more that just dropped today as of recording this video. There's Jet, the South Korean who has power over air. I've started playing her more recently because she's a really easy character to learn in my opinion, and she's best used with a shotgun. Although her ultimate ability is either really stupidly OP, or you just miss and then die, or maybe I just don't know how to use it. Next, there's Raze, the Brazilian whose abilities revolve around explosives. She's another really easy character to learn, and one of the agents I main. I kinda stole it from my brother though. People think that not just her ultimate ability, but she, in general, is too OP. Because if you're playing Raze, then her ultimate ability is just, if you know how to use it, one-shot kill. But if you're just playing Raze for the first time, then you know that her ultimate ability really doesn't do that much damage. And on top of that, it got nerfed. Like, you have to hit them in the body to kill them fully, which gets really annoying, so Raze is only good in certain maps and not good in others. Breach is the Swedish man that no one likes playing, so we can just skip him. Omen, in my opinion, is a more complicated version of Jet, but once you get good with him, he can be pretty deadly. Brimstone is the simplest agent to learn, maybe just because he's American. Phoenix is the character that you saw in the first clip. He's the one that my friend mains. He comes from the UK and his ultimate is a tiny bit broken. So broken, in fact, that there was a glitch discovered that if you timed his ult correctly when planting the spike, you could plant the spike outside of sight. Sage is the Chinese healer who you kinda need on the team. You always need someone to heal, and with her ult, resurrect people. Sova is only useful if you want to know where people are. Maybe that's because he comes from Russia. Viper comes from the US, and her abilities stem from her control over poison. She's really good at controlling points, and if you know how to play her, like my friend Gabe, it makes pushing points really easy. Cypher is just like Sova, only useful for gathering intel on the location of the other team. Finally, there's Reyna, the most recent agent added, other than Killjoy. She comes from Mexico, and her abilities center on her blind and how well she can get kills. If she doesn't get kills, then she can't use half her abilities. Some people think her blind is overpowered, but it kinda has to be, because if it wasn't, again, she couldn't use the rest of her abilities. Now that you know all the characters, it's time to learn the maps. There are currently 4 maps in the game: Blind, Haven, Split, and my favorite one, Ascent. Each map has its own unique quirk. For example, Haven, my least favorite map, has 3 points instead of 2, Bind has teleporters, Split has ziplines, and Ascent has open and closable doors. That's really all you need to know about each map, because each map has the same objective, just to plant the spike, or defuse the spike if you're on defense. At the start of each round, you're given money. The amount of money you receive varies on if you win or lose the round, how many kills you get, and if you manage to plant or defuse the spike. With this money, you can buy a wide range of either primary guns or sidearms, but there's a catch. You can only have one of each weapon, so you have to be careful with what gun you choose. That's why I'm here to tell you which gun's the best. Starting with the sidearms. You should only have these for the first 1 to 2 rounds, although you don't have to buy a sidearm because the pistol is free, but it offers an advantage in the first few rounds if you do. There are 4 other sidearms that are available. There's the Shorty, which has become one of my favorites. It's a shotgun with only 2 shells per clip that does a decent amount of damage at close range. But if you aren't close enough or you miss both shots, you're dead. Next up, the Frenzy. This is basically an SMG with a way higher bloom and a way less ammo. This sidearm is best used at close range, but it can also be used at medium range with less effect. Is that the classic again? Oh, no, wait, it has a silencer. This sidearm is the Ghost. Basically the classic but more powerful and, of course, has a silencer. Finally, there's the Revolver. The Sheriff. Which is basically, again, a more powerful classic but with higher bloom and more recoil. Moving on to the primary weapons. This category is divided into 5 different subcategories: SMGs, rifles, shotguns, heavies, and snipers. The SMGs are basically less powerful versions of a gun in the rifle category. For example, the Stinger is a less powerful version of the Bulldog. Both of them are automatic when you hit fire, and burst when you scope in. The Stinger just has fewer bullets. To get an efficient kill with both these guns though, you need to hit a headshot first, or else you're just dead. The other SMG is the Spectre, and this one's my favorite in the game, next to the Phantom, which coincidentally is the rifle version of the Spectre. The reason I love both of these guns is that you can move while shooting with them, just a little bit. Unlike every single other gun in the game, you're just more accurate when you stand still with these guns. Although the Phantom does more damage and is a one-shot headshot at a certain distance, the Spectre is better in my opinion just because of how cheap it is. Moving on to the rifles, we've already covered half of them, so I only have to cover the other half now. There's the Guardian, which is a manual gun with lots of recoil. I personally don't like this gun, but I know lots of other people who do. This gun isn't very good at close range, and you can't spray with it. Those are the 2 only reasons I don't like it. Then there's the Vandal, a more controlled, powerful version of the Phantom that is too overpowered for its own good. For starters, there's no damage drop-off, so the gun is an instant one-shot headshot no matter where you are on the map. You can barely hip fire with it like the Phantom or Spectre, and the Vandal has insane bloom. Alright, now onto what can be the most broken class in the game, the shotguns. There are only 2 of them, the Bucky and the Judge. They can only be used at close range, duh, they're shotguns. The Bucky's like the pump, but instead of having the spray shot, it has the condensed shot, which gives it a tiny bit more range, but not that much more. Now, for the most broken gun in the game, the Judge. This gun is an automatic tac shotgun and is good at short range. Stupidly good. All you have to do is hold a corner, then press left click, and the enemy is just gone. It's so stupid. Anyway, the next class is the heavy class, which consists of the Ares and the Odin. The Ares is basically the Spectre, but if you move, your aim is just gone. And the Odin is just like a machine gun. Nothing more, nothing less. The final class is the sniper class. If you know how to use these weapons, then you're top fragger, period. The two guns in this class are the Marshal and the Operator, or the Op for short. The Marshal is basically a less powerful version of the Op. The Marshal only has a one-shot headshot, whereas the Op is just an insta-kill, unless you hit the legs from a certain distance. The trade-off for this though is that the Op costs 4,500, and even that isn't high enough. Now you know how the game works and the mechanics of it, it's time to talk about the downsides of the game. This game is created by Riot Games after all, and they created League of Legends. There are gonna be some problems with this game, just like that entire game. So, what are some of the problems? Well, for starters, there's the queue time. When you're playing by yourself, the queue time is about 10 to 30 seconds. Not too bad. But when you're playing with friends, the queue time jumps to a minute and a half, or to 2, even 3 minutes. Not fun. Another problem with the game is that sometimes the game just breaks. And sometimes the game just crashes mid-match, and sometimes the game won't let you play with your friends. Now, this would be a problem if the game didn't give you a dodge timer if you leave the match. The biggest problem with this game, though, is that people who leave the game. Now, I get that some people don't leave the game on purpose. Some people's games crash and others leave because they're mad, but for whatever reason, it's still annoying because then you have to 4v5 or 3v5 or even in a situation I've been in, a 2v5. It makes the game super unfair, and even though you can FF or forfeit, it still feels bad. Even though this game has its kinks and it can be a little frustrating at times, it's still a really, really good game that I really enjoy playing with my friends. Well, only one of my friends that consistently responds when I ask. Her and her boyfriend.